It's showtime.
It's the pre-party with J. Cal.
We are professional wrestling.
I'm building an alliance.
You are tuned into
the absolute top of the mountain, the ultimate professional wrestling.
Alliance-wrestling.com.
What is up, guys? It's your boy J. Cal, and this is the Pre-Party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. TheAllianceBlog.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. Is no news good news? Asking for a friend. It's been entirely too long for my comfort for the NWA to not be updating us on what's going on. June 16th, which is almost a month ago, David Lagana stepped down from his position with the National Wrestling Alliance, and there has been no updates via Twitter, no updates via Facebook, and no updates via, well, anything. There's been no new content. Now, I know we were kind of expecting this. I know we were. But is it a little concerning to anybody else? Now, you'll have to forgive me because what I'm doing right now is I actually had to pull up my own YouTube screen because somehow, some way it fell off the OBS screen. But I'm here to try to make lemonades out of lemon, to make shiitake mushrooms out of, well, you get the picture. I want to say hi to my friends watching on Instagram Live. We're also streaming there. But, of course, the bread and butter's right here on YouTube. And if you enjoy this podcast, please give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Do all those cool things. Leave a comment because that's how it really builds interaction, integration. And that's how YouTube knows that you guys are interested in this product, and that's how it builds up that algorithm and all that other crazy science and stuff. The first thing I wanted to do today is I wanted to show something off that came in the mail. And I probably should have blocked out my home address, but I don't think any of you are stalkers, and honestly, the camera's not that great. I did get something in the mail that I ordered. I did pay for. This isn't a freebie. This isn't a pro bono, but thank you to my friends over at This Is the NWA for sending over this guy right here. Yep, your boy J Cal, officially, unofficially, is a part of that NWA fan because I did get my shirt. I do want to recommend you guys getting your shirts too because right now they're selling them at cost. If you want to represent the NWA fam, it's at cost, and then the shipping is flat shipping's $5. So if you want to buy multiple shirts, I recommend taking advantage of this $5 shipping deal because I bought one shirt for $5 for the shipping with it, and it's like, well, I should have bought more. So anyways, like I said, no news is good news. Now there are rumblings, man, and I know we're not supposed to keep talking about the same things, but there are rumblings about the NWA coming back in an empty arena environment. From a secret source that I can't reveal and I can't even really talk about. There's rumors that they were supposed to be working with a company in the Mid-Atlantic about doing empty arena shows there. There's a promotion obviously out in Hollywood that is connected to New Japan Pro Wrestling, currently producing the Lions Collision Break, or Lions Break Collision. I'm not even sure how to say it. I keep messing it up. And they're doing shows. They're back in the studio right now taping. Well, not right this minute, but back in the Ocean View Pavilion taping right now. And then I hear there's other things that may happen soon, but can't talk about it because that's the thing about having sources. If you start letting all that information out, they quit being sources. I see your guys' comments. They're popping up here on the screen. Like I said, if I don't get to them right away, I will address your comments. We always like that fan interaction, and you guys always pick me up, so I really appreciate it. But, of course, the NWA fam shirt, you can visit the NWApod.com. That's the Bearded Trio's website, as well as the merchandise store. So you make sure to check that out because, again, those guys are good people, and we have this commonality. The guys over here at the TheAllianceBlog, the guys over at This Is the NWA podcast, we're working together. There's synergy. I like those guys. Those guys like me. Last week I appeared on like three programs produced by those guys, and so I mean there's a lot of synergy. There's a lot of love there, and if you guys would, if you guys would do me a favor. If you're not already subscribed to their channel, do it. If you subscribe to their YouTube, follow them on Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. And while I'm talking about plugging away, I also want to thank the fellas over at NWA Unfiltered on Facebook. They are a group of like-minded wrestling fans who, like you, love the National Wrestling Alliance, the rich history and tradition. Again, check them out if you're on Facebook. Give them a like. Tell them that your boy J Cal sent you. It doesn't get you anything, but just lets them know that that I'm talking about them. And you guys, it's a great place to start sharing that knowledge. So this week, I'm going to try something different, guys. And for you watching on Instagram, it's going to be kind of boring. But with no news means we have to find stuff to talk about. And one of the hot buttons that I always get asked is about the NWA and the end of the NWA and the TNA relationship. More specifically, was it true that Daniel Bryan was supposed to be the NWA Worlds Heavyweight Champion? Well, I mean,
It's showtime.
It's the pre-party with J Cal.
We are.
oh Lordy. Well, the answer is yes. Yes, Daniel Bryan was supposed to be NWA Worlds Heavyweight Champion. And that is no joke. That is not hyperbole. That picture right there that you see next to me of Daniel Bryan holding the 10 pounds of gold with stitches above his eyes, yeah, he was supposed to be your next World's Heavyweight Champion. And people often say, was it the same way that Kurt Angle was supposed to be NWA World's Heavyweight Champion? No, it's different. In fact, let's go back a little bit. Okay, let's go back to TNA Wrestling. Christian Cage is the World Heavyweight Champion. And, well, Christian Cage, I'll just go to it right now.
Ah, cameraman. I'm glad you're here. I have a message for the NWA and all the NWA fans. You know, I've beaten the best wrestlers in the world. I've beaten Samoa Joe. I've beaten Jushin Liger. I've beaten Minoru Tanaka. I've beaten everybody, everywhere. I'm the best. And now, I'm coming after the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Now get out of my way.
Ah, lovely. Okay. That's why I need a new rig, guys, because this is garbage. So, of course, Daniel Bryan made this challenge that fell on deaf ears. Nobody from Impact responded to Daniel Bryan. Nobody listened. Nobody gave any credence to just this indie wrestler challenging Christian Cage, and Christian Cage coming off a tenure with the WWE, one of the greatest tag team champions of WWE history. He was the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. He's feuding with the likes of AJ Styles, Jeff Jarrett, Raven, Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle. All these matches are happening. So who's going to listen to Daniel Bryan? Who's going to listen to Daniel Bryan? Or Bryan Danielson, I should say. The American Dragon. Well, the world was listening. Now, this wasn't happened by accident. The NWA had already planned to end this relationship with Impact. This video predated the NWA's announcement to leave the NWA, leave that relationship with Impact months before they actually did it. And this really set up a lot of controversy, if you will, because the NWA up until this point was very content being just part of the Impact experience. They weren't really part of the show. But then you had Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, make that challenge, and then you had a whole bunch of people speaking up.
You know, I can't help but be miffed, agitated, maybe a little irritated. You see, there's a group of people who come on YouTube just like you watching at home. And for the past couple of weeks, I've been watching Bryan Danielson talk about how he wants a shot at the NWA Worlds Heavyweight Championship. And because it's Bryan Danielson, over 4,000 people have logged on and seen him talk about how he wants a shot at whoever the champion's going to be, whether it be Christian Cage, Samoa Joe, or anybody else. In case you haven't noticed, I'm standing before you right now carrying the NWA Heritage Championship, which in my world means a whole hell of a lot, but apparently not to you idiots at home that watch this crap. See, the deal is, if Bryan Danielson talks, it's news. We'll have a little bit of news from me, Scrap Iron Adam Pearce. I don't care if you like me. I don't care if you hate me. Bryan Danielson, you have victories over Samoa Joe. You've got victories over Christian Cage. I've wrestled all those people. I've wrestled you too. You're not the only one who thinks he deserves a shot at the NWA Worlds Heavyweight Championship. Bob Trowbridge and the board of directors needs to take notice, and take notice now. If you devalue the Heritage Champion, you devalue your organization. I want a shot. I want an opportunity, and after 11 years, I think I've earned one. Put your money where your mouth is. If I have to go through Danielson, so be it. I'm the man.
Now, of course, Scrap Iron Adam Pearce would be the man that would eventually walk away as the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. But that wasn't the original plan. No, fellas. That wasn't the goal. The goal was Daniel Bryan. 100% it was Daniel Bryan. Well, excuse me, Bryan Danielson. I've been brainwashed by the WWE corporate machine. Bryan Danielson is his name, the American Dragon. And so this kind of started a war of words. Now remember, we're talking about 2006, 2007. YouTube was still in its infancy. And wrestling really hadn't explored YouTube the way it has today, the way it does now. There weren't 100 podcasts talking about pro wrestling. There weren't a lot of wrestling promotions actually on YouTube. There was very little, there was some, but it wasn't quite the same. My sound is off again. Can you guys hear me? Oh, man. This is, for the NWA to not... Awesome. Test, if you guys can hear me, please give me, say something in the comments section. Otherwise, I don't know, man. My sound is off.
TV, through radio stations, through phone calls. There's a lot of buzz going around the world because one man makes a statement. One man makes a challenge, and that's you, Bryan Danielson. Don't get me wrong, son, you're good. You're one of the best in the world, man. Worldwide, people know you, son. You're famous, and nobody else should be considered for that championship, the NWA championship, than you, except for me. Do you realize who I am? Do you realize that I am an Anderson? Do you realize what my family has done for this organization? The Anderson family is synonymous with the NWA. Year after year, the Andersons have won championships after championships, and the Machine Gun is here to claim that same thing. The Machine Gun is here live at the National Wrestling Alliance to take the National Wrestling Alliance Heavyweight Championship home with me. Because the Machine Gun's going to throw his name in the mix And when it's all said and done, and the Machine Gun takes the NWA Heavyweight World Championship and holds it high in the air, everybody will realize that Carl the Machine Gun Anderson is the best in the world. Punk.
So how about now? Can you guys hear me now? Goodness gracious. What is going on with this thing? Maybe I'm way over my head. Maybe I should just go back to the regular podcast, man. Maybe I should just pre-record these and upload them because, good Lord. Anyways, Mayor Michael McQueen wanted to see the picture of Daniel Bryan holding the 10 pounds of gold. And again, this is from Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. This isn't doctored footage. This isn't, he wasn't holding a Fans replica title. That is the 10 pounds of gold. This was put out by David Marquez a few years ago. And so, I mean, we had a lot of challenges now for the 10 pounds of gold. It wasn't just Carl the Machine Gun Anderson. It wasn't just Scrap Iron Adam Pearce. Then we got,
My name is Chance Prophet.
Chance Prophet.
NWA is in my blood. Bryan Danielson, you want to throw your name out there for the NWA World title? 3 years ago, I was this close to being the NWA.
Oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. This show is going great today.
My name is
swimmingly
Chance Prophet. NWA is in my blood. Bryan Danielson, you want to throw your name out there for the NWA World title? 3 years ago, I was this close to being the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Ask AJ Styles how scared he was. Ask him how it felt.
So what happened is I have fat fingers and I've been screwing up. It's not even the microphone, but send me that link because I do need a better microphone. So Chance Prophet, basically, he was challenging. He had challenged AJ Styles when Styles was champion, and that was actually celebrated quite heavily on the NWA message board back in the day because it felt like one of our own was actually getting a shot at that title that had essentially become exclusive to TNA Wrestling. This next guy is from Australia, Bobby Joe Marshall.
Trotovich, ever since I came over to America, you've put so many blockades in my way purely because of my beliefs. You've held me back. You put me in matches that I can't win. And guess what? Now I hear everyone talking about a world's heavyweight title. Well, Bobby Joe Marshall wants a cut. It's my time. It's my turn. Fuck all these other guys. It's my time to step out the front. Take a look at the ground. You see this right here? This is a line in the sand that's been drawn. Everyone else, get to the back of the bus. You stand behind Bobby Joe Marshall. Because it's Bobby's time to shine.
Remind me never to do this again. After we had Bobby Joe Marshall, there was the Canadian bomber Nelson Creed.
There's a big buzz. There's a lot of talk right now about the NWA World title. Wrestlers all over the country, all over America, even from Australia, are challenging for the World Championship. Well, Canada has a champion too, Nelson Creed. I started my career with the NWA. I've worked my way up from the bottom of the ladder. I've held titles across Canada. I've wrestled across Canada through the United States, and I've held titles everywhere I've been. But there's one title that I've always had my eye on, the NWA World title. And now it's my opportunity. Now it's my chance to step into the ring with hopefully a champion and challenge him for that title. There's some people throwing their name in the hat, dump the hat out, turn it upside down, put it on my head because I want to say, Canada's best is better than all the rest. Give me the chance, let me in there, and I will show you why Canadians are champions.
And so the Canadian bomber Nelson Creed was he was the guy that was challenging Adam Pearce at a lot of those arena shows in 2006, 2007. In fact, some of you, we've talked in the past about the Copa de Lucha. which was the NWA and Big Vision Entertainment doing some of these arena shows in at the Orleans Arena in Nevada, and that was Adam Pearce defending the Heritage title, now the Hollywood Heritage title, against Nelson Creed. He was a star from ECCW. I know a lot of people don't know Nelson Creed, but again, everyone was throwing their name in the hat. And then it wasn't just guys who were wrestling locally in the NWA, but we even had AAA stars like Psychosis.
This is for NWA. Psychosis. I want the belt. Jeff Jarrett, Curango, Samoa Joe. No me importa quién sea. Yo quiero el campeonato. Me lo voy a llevar a México porque represento a los latinos. Así que no me importa cómo. NWA, give me the chance for the belt. I'm ready. I'm ready now.
So, of course, Psychosis, Machine Gun Anderson, Adam Pearce, Chance Prophet, Nelson Creed. I've got a few more like Aaron Aguilera, Hardcore Kid.
Ever since I was a little boy, all I could dream about was the NWA title. And now I understand I might have that chance. Aaron Aguilera. No more games. No more WSX. No more stupid clown pants. No more Jesus. What you see is what you get. Call me what you want, but just don't call me late for dinner. Christian Cage, Kurt Angle, it doesn't matter. Aaron Aguilera is coming after the NWA World title.
And then the last one is the shooter, Brent Albright.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brent Albright, and it's been brought to my attention that the NWA World title is up for grabs. So as of right now, I, Brent Albright, am putting my name in the hat. I want to be the next NWA World Champion. But first things first, on May 19th, I've got a date with Rocco Valentino for the NWA UCW Heavyweight title. And after I beat Rocco Valentino, I'm going to move on, and I'm going to be the NWA World Champion. My name is going to be right up there with guys like Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, Lou Thez, and then Brent Albright. Your next NWA World Champion.
Now, clearly some of these were better than others, but unfortunately, that's what it was. So you had all these challenges for the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. Now, what I was going to do, but I don't think it makes a lot of sense at this point, was that the NWA then issued that they were going to have a tournament to crown a new champion, and you had more people coming out of the clockwork. You had guys like Chad Parham, Damian Wayne, Drew Onyx, Amazing Kong. Yeah, she was actually challenging to get her spot in the tournament. And, of course, there were a lot of other people that ended up in that tournament to crown a new World's Heavyweight Champion. Fergal Devitt, Mikey Nichols. So, ultimately, yes, Daniel Bryan was going to challenge for that title. What a lot of people don't seem to understand, though, is that, I mean, he legitimately got hurt. He legitimately got hurt by Morishima, this guy. And I know you look at him and he's got that baby face and he's holding that Ring of Honor title. He kind of resembles Terry Gordy. But he put the hurt on Daniel Bryan and actually took him out of in-ring competition. And we have a clip here, and I don't know if this is going to play, so we'll see what happens, but we're going to try.
These athletes, how much they appreciate the efforts in this matchup for the world title. Danielson again back to his feet. Morishima in the corner. Trying to elevate the champion to the top rope. Could Danielson be trying to go for the superplex? The belly-to-back superplex all the way to the top rope.
Right there.
Crossbody from Morishima, but he can't go for the cover. It was too much weight for Danielson to support. That could crack a rib right there, and Danielson again clutching at his face, clutching it down high, as Morishima tries to knock some life into his legs. Morishima back to his feet first, but barely able to stand.
The original diagnosis was that Daniel Bryan might lose his eye.
Open hand slap from Danielson, but not much on it. Hard kick from the champ.
He was legitimately injured. But nevertheless, our World's Heavyweight Championship was decided in Bayman, Puerto Rico, IWA, and what was supposed to be Daniel Bryan versus Brent Albright in the finals. With Albright's injury, with American Dragon's injury, Bryan Danielson was no longer able to compete, and that spot went to Scrap Iron Adam Pearce. A lot of people know Scrap Iron Adam Pearce wasn't the first choice. David Marquez even said so on my podcast. But what Scrap Iron Adam Pearce did bring to the table, gentlemen, ladies, was something that was historic and meaningful. 5 reigns over the course of about 8 years, defending that NWA Worlds Heavyweight Championship in places it hadn't seen in years. Defending the title in the United Kingdom for NWA UK, defending the belt in WXW in Germany, defending the title in Australia in multiple Australian wrestling promotions. Of course, being the highlight of the NWA Hollywood or making appearances for NWA Mountain State. Yeah, Scrap Iron Adam Pearce carried the NWA on his back for those 5 reigns and certainly brought value to the brand. Now, Daniel Bryan should have been the World's Heavyweight Championship, but I think the NWA benefited from Scrap Iron Adam Pearce. So that was your lesson today of the wilderness era of the National Wrestling Alliance. And I see a lot of your comments, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and jump to those because I've been kind of ignoring you while I'm trying to do this, and honestly, it didn't work out so good. So, again, I appreciate all of you guys checking this out. I know Willie Bowen was here saying the NWA Pro Wrestling fan for life, and Willie, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being here. Wrestling with MMA, thank you. Will Martin, my brother. I'm glad everyone's here. Willie Bowen is still calling for Watts versus Nick Aldis for the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship, and I think we're all ready to see that. I think we're ready to get that NWA World's Heavyweight Championship back in Hollywood, and I think Watts is finally at that peaked level where he really brings a legitimate challenge to Nick Aldis. And I think that if Aldis isn't paying attention, he might lose that belt. I did see your guys' tribute to Orville Brown, and being today's the day that he first won the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. I see Terry brought that up, as well as Dr. Robert Stinson. And I think it's awesome that I have 2 doctors on my live stream. I don't know why you guys are here, but I appreciate it. As we go through some more of your comments, the mayor said he wanted to see the Daniel Bryan promo. I'll play that towards the end of the show just one more time. Dr. Robert Stinson says happy Orville Brown Day. And yeah, man, it's a good day. This is how the NWA was created. Stan says give everybody the NWA title. Stan, I mean, you got to think back to that time. Again, YouTube was in its infancy. This was the only way the NWA, who none of the promotions had major television. The closest would be NWA Wildside, NWA Anarchy, who had television on syndicated markets, but not like a big audience, not a huge following. I mean, for diehard wrestling fans, absolutely. They were seeing the NWA in places that hadn't been seen in a while, but ultimately a lot of pro wrestling fans thought TNA had become the NWA. Much like when they thought WCW became the NWA, because the 10 pounds of gold was on the television, they just assumed that, oh, well, TNA is the new NWA. That wasn't it. That really wasn't it. Dr. Rob thought I was wearing a beanie. No, it's the Angels hat, and I opted to wear it backwards today because I've been getting these purplish shadows on my face on the interviews that I've been doing lately, and it looked like I might have been a recipient of a black eye or something. So I want to make sure you guys know that no, your boy's okay. No one's been swinging at him. Although Lamb said I look tired. Thanks, Lamb. It's good that you guys are all getting along in here. Dr. Robert Stinson says 7 on the all-time list for combined raid and scrap iron is the man. Adam Pearce, let me tell you, man, and I've got a picture here, and I go to this one from time to time. I do need a better frame for it, but scrap iron Adam Pearce was so influential in the NWA, and really very influential in this site. He was very easily approachable. He knew that we were one of the sites that were really putting the NWA over. We were giving the NWA the publicity it deserved. And, we benefited from our relationship with Scrap Iron Adam Pearce. But I like to think in some ways he benefited from our relationship as well. Let's see. Wrestling with MMA says he watched the 7 Levels of Hate. And that was some crazy stuff. And let me tell you guys, you didn't see half of it. I know I'm just a guy with a podcast, but I was made privy to a lot of information. I was made privy to a lot of things that I probably should never have seen, that I know a lot of individuals didn't want me to see. And it was dirty, guys. That entire era of the NWA was not a clean, good, feeling good type of era for the NWA. A lot of things they did, I think, screwed over a lot of fans, screwed over a lot of wrestlers. We talked about Damian Wayne a few weeks ago. He was one of these guys who I think was really hurt from the new ownership. I think had things stayed the course, things would have been better for Damian Wayne. He was given some opportunities under that era, but unfortunately they didn't pan out well for him. The 7 Levels of Hate. Yeah, I mean, and going back to that, 3 things if I can. Number 1, if you watch the whole thing, for about 5 seconds, you saw my ugly mug, and that was really cool. I was very pleased to be a part of that documentary process. A lot of the photos that my wife had taken when she would accompany me to Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, a lot of those photos got used. And it was really cool to be a promotional partner. I don't know if that's the right term. I mean, we were thanked in the credits of the movie, and it felt nice to be a part of that. But with that being said, witnessing all of these things happening live, seeing these emails where they were asking Pearce to drop the title before the 7 Levels of Hate because they wanted to put the belt on their guy, and just the way that they tried to run business in that era, that new ownership, was really bad, and it really affected the 7 Levels of Hate. A lot of people don't realize that whoa, I'm stuttering. I'm so excited. A lot of those matches were supposed to be in different places, but because of the jurisdiction of Bruce Tharp, right, Tony Brooklyn, Fred Rubenstein, those things got changed because they didn't want former NWA promotions to have these title matches. Yes, and I'm talking about Hollywood in specifically. Let's see more of your comments. Pearce has just released match number 3 and match number 5 over the past 2 days. He is listening to us, guys. He absolutely is. And look, man, Adam Pearce is a great dude. I love the guy. But he's aware of his own legacy, and he knows that he kind of got the short end of the stick because the Bob Trowbridge era did everything it could to highlight Adam Pearce, but they didn't have the financial backing the NWA has now. And, although Adam Pearce did get to wrestle in Japan, he didn't wrestle as the world's heavyweight champion. He never got to defend the 10 pounds of gold there. And he did a lot of things for the NWA, and a lot of that falls on deaf ears and blind eyes because a lot of you guys weren't watching the NWA then. So, of course, I don't blame him for trying to release these matches and having you guys see this content now, because these were some great matches, great storyline. That was a blueprint. The 7 Levels of Hate was a blueprint of how to make territory wrestling work. Now, nobody wants to do territory wrestling because everyone has their own agenda, their own ideas, their own concepts, their own creative that they want to do. And it's very rare that anybody wants to recognize somebody else's world champion. Even in the NWA today, when you have a great champion in Nick Aldis, he gets second billing when he goes anywhere, with the exception of maybe Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. And they never put him in that prime spot on these shows. He's usually, semi-main event, but he's not the main event, and it's because each promotion's trying to get over their own guys. They don't benefit from the NWA being in the main event. I mean, they should. They technically would, but that's another story. More of your comments. Dr. Stinson said, Stan says Tharp era screwed Wayne. That's for sure, man. I mean, look, Damian Wayne had a lot of opportunity, but I mean, he was supposed to go to Japan. He was supposed to get a world title, and none of that stuff happened. And I'm speaking from rumor. I wasn't in those back office meetings. I'm only speculating, but I could tell you that he didn't get what he deserved. Let's see. Wrestling with MMA says, I'm excited to see all the matches. Yeah, I mean, there were some good ones. The first blood match was in Hollywood, and one of the coolest things about it, and they talk about it in the documentary, friend of the show, Shane, was there. Shane used to be the ringside photographer for the NWA. He was at all the events, all the anniversary shows, all of the David Marquez promoted events, and he got this amazing photo of the turnbuckle when Pierce just poured buckets of blood onto this turnbuckle. It kind of was reminiscent of the volleyball in what's that movie called? Castaway, with Tom Hanks and Wilson, because it just had so much blood, and Pierce's face was on there. And yeah, Shane got a lot of great photos of that, and it's pretty cool. Let's see. Yeah, Pierce showed the world how it was done. The mayor says, and having the advantages of YouTube nowadays, it was exciting to watch, especially 7 Levels of Hate. Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I mean, even YouTube just a few years ago, the wrestling community had embraced it, but the 7 Levels of Hate, of course, I mean, Adam Pearce, that was a vehicle for him to make money too. He was an independent wrestler. That was his creative genius. That was his baby. And he and Colt put that together. They sold like 500 copies of DVDs. It was originally available digitally on WeLoveColt.com. Of course, all that stuff kind of changed after time because it was no longer something people were searching for. But now it's kind of come back around again. I kind of wish, before all of this stuff happened with Lagana and the NWA, that they could have reached out to Pierce and put that on a couple episodes of the NWA Power Time slot, that 6:05 slot, because I think that would have been very interesting storytelling for the NWA and kind of show you that history that is often forgotten. Our boy Mayor laughs at the term wilderness days. It's growing on me. The first person I heard say that was Dr. Rob. And when he said that to me, it made me laugh. What is up, Tim? Tim, NWA Gold. He's our partner now. He's working with us at Alliance-Wrestling.com. Make sure you follow the NWA Gold on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. A lot of rich history and tradition, title belts. He recently did a piece on the NWA Illinois Championship, and I believe he's doing one on the Pure Championship from ACCW, which was a briefly an affiliate of the NWA. You're going to want to check that out. And then Wrestling with MMA says politics in wrestling is cancerous. It is, man, and it's not just the NWA, but it's specifically the NWA. Dave Marquez said when he was on the podcast that it seemed like the NWA would argue over what to order for lunch. They just couldn't get their act together, and that's the byproduct of having so many different personalities involved. And one of the things that's neat or unique about Billy Corgan is like the buck stops with Billy. He's in charge. He's the president. He's the owner. So things won't ever get squirrely the way they did with in that Bruce and the Robert Trowbridge era. The Bruce Tharpe era is different because Bruce won the NWA in a lawsuit. He won the rights to the NWA, and shortly after attaining those rights, eliminated his partners. It was really really sad. Rusty, good friend Rusty. Rusty used to write for the site back in the day. He would do the Saw report. We called it the Rusty Saw. Rusty's watching, and he says, "Great beer, Jay." Thank you, sir. It used to be much, much longer, but this whole quarantine stuff has been kind of rough. The bloody turnbuckle photo was classic. Yeah, man. I think, Mayor, you were around then, and you saw that turnbuckle. That was, I mean, it was something out of the After mags from like 30 years ago. Something you'd expect to see, John Tolos and Freddie Blassie leave in the ring. I mean, this really was a hallmark of Southern California hardcore wrestling, and I don't mean that XPW junk. I mean like the old school like blood feuds, Colt Cabana, Adam Pearce, and they certainly left its mark, all pun intended, in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Scooby wants to know if this is a Dan the Beast Severn title, and yes, it is. And now my phone is ringing, but don't worry, you guys are more important. Yes, this is a. Jeez Louise. Yes, this is a Dan the Beast Severn action figure. Let me just turn this down real quick. Sorry, guys. Appreciate your patience. Yeah, that's Dan the Beast. I also have a Blue Demon Jr. unopened from I forgot who the company was. It's Reaction, but it was made for Legends of Lucha Libre. This was officially licensed by the Mass Republic. Kevin Kleinrock is responsible for the Mass Republic, and consider him a friend. And yeah, they did the Blue Demon Jr. figure. And of course, I have my AWA Remco of the Nature Boy Ric Flair holding the 10 pounds of gold. And then, of course, I have, I think this is LJN of the old school Ric Flair. This was from the 90s. Yeah, so those are my guys. Of course, I just trashed my area behind me, but that's all right. It needed to be updated anyways. You know what, Dr. Robert, that ringtone gives me nightmares. I need to change it. Every time I hear it, it haunts me. But yeah, so getting back to the 10 pounds of gold and that era with Adam Pearce and, well, really with Daniel Bryan too. Bryan Danielson. When Bryan Danielson was fired, he was never fired, guys. That was a gimmick. It was a work for choking out Michael Cole with his tie, the whole NXT invasion thing. They actually allowed him to challenge Scrap Iron Adam Pearce at the NWA Charlotte's Fan Fest. And so Adam Pearce and Daniel Bryan, gosh, I keep calling him Daniel Bryan. I feel like that's not appropriate. Bryan Danielson challenged Scrap Iron Adam Pearce for the 10 pounds of gold at that Fan Fest. And of course, Adam Pearce was successful. But one has to consider what would have happened had the American Dragon won that title. I mean, the American Dragon was wrestling all around the world. At that time, he was the WWA, not WWA, oh goodness, my mind is an Australian promotion. He was their heavyweight champion, WSW Wrestling, World Series Wrestling. He was the World Series of Wrestling, the Australian heavyweight champion. He had been competing in the top level of Ring of Honor. He had just battled Morishima for the World's Heavyweight Championship. He was a top-level guy, and really, at that point, the case could be made he was the greatest wrestler on earth at the time. And some people might still make that case. And what he could have brought to the table for the NWA would have been something a lot like Dan Severn, is a legitimate wrestler who, in the ring, couldn't be beaten because he was just so technical savvy. And I like to think that had Bryan Danielson remained with the NWA, was able to honor those commitments and become the World's Heavyweight Champion, I don't think he would have been in the NWA for long, to be honest. I think eventually the WWE would have come calling. But I think in that window of opportunity, that 2000 to 2008, you would have seen some great matches with Bryan Danielson and Brent Albright, and Bryan Danielson and Scrap Iron Adam Pearce, and Bryan Danielson and Damian Wayne, and Bryan Danielson and Chance Prophet. I'll go on and on. Drew Onyx, Chad Parham, Kevin Northcutt, the list goes on and on. So, let's see. I see more and more of your guys' comments. Willie Bowen says, Dan to be Severn versus Adam Pearce would have been a great match. Maybe. Because they're two different styles for sure. Adam Pearce is not afraid to mix with the fisticuffs, if you will. He wasn't afraid to get dirty in the ring. Now, Adam Pearce, his style was different than Dan Severn's, and it would have been very hard hitting, to say the least. The mayor says Tharp days were the real wilderness days. He turned it into the Texas wrestling to appease the local promoters who invested their money, which he basically told me personally on Facebook. Yeah, well, I mean, for everything that Bruce Tharp did wrong, he did do one thing right. Maybe two things right. One, he put the World's Heavyweight Championship on Rob the Iron Man Conway and was able to take that and the 10 pounds of gold to New Japan Pro Wrestling. I mean, till this day, Rob Conway is the only World's Heavyweight Champion to wrestle at Wrestle Kingdom. No other World's Heavyweight Champion for the NWA was able to do that. I think that's pretty telling. And I mean, from all the champions throughout history, none of them. Also, getting that belt in front of New Japan. At the time, New Japan TV was Access in the United States. Being able to have those matches appear on Access TV. I mean, I know it wasn't the biggest, greatest venue for pro wrestling, but it did give the NWA, along with Chase Owens, who was defending the World Junior Heavyweight Championship at the time, it gave them some visibility, which the NWA desperately needed, especially after the ownership changed. There was no premier promotion. I mean, NWA Smoky Mountain had TV in its local area, but it wasn't nationally syndicated. It wasn't seen across the U.S. So they really did lose out, and you could say that Tharp era was even more of a wilderness stage. But they did get the World's Heavyweight Championship in New Japan, and they brought New Japan talent to the United States. I mean, it wasn't just Rob Conway going to Japan. We had Kojima come to the United States, Hiroshi Tenzan, Jushin Thunder Liger. They sent guys like Scott Anthony, Byron Wilcott, Michael Tarver, Wes Briscoe. All these guys, of course, we can't forget Jax Dane. All these guys had an opportunity to go to Japan and wrestle. And I mean, Jax Dane and Rob Conway won the defended the NWA World Tag Team titles in Japan, and were wrestling against some of their top names. Your guys' comments are awesome. Willie Bowen says Drake Dawson was part of the NWA Pro Wrestling too. You'll have to remind me who Drake Dawson is because the name is not familiar to me. Bayer says when Bryan Danielson wrestled, the fans really chanted "best in the world," and they legitimately meant it. And that was long before CM Punk was getting that kind of treatment. NWA Gold says the Severn action figure is amazing because if you pull the string in the back, it won't say anything because it can't cut a promo. But that kung fu grip, it'll break your arm. Zing! Yes. Good one, Doc. Good one, Tim. Good one. And he paraded around like a fool in New Japan too. He was Rob Conway's de facto manager, but Tharp did do big things in New Japan, and that was a great point. And there was, I guess I could say this, I don't know if I'll get in trouble, but who cares? There was a point in time when they wanted to continue to work with Bruce Tharp, and he was going to have a on-air role for when the NWA came to television. It's just that relationship broke down relatively quickly before they even got to TV. Craig S says, do you know what happened to, do you know, let me try that again. Do you happen to know who arranged for the late great Harley Race to appear at Wrestle Kingdom 8? Was it Bruce Tharp or was it New Japan? Craig, I don't know that offhand. And the only person I would know would be David Marquez. I know New Japan was very big on, it's not just New Japan, it's Japanese wrestling in general. That NWA has a special place in their hearts. I think the NWA history, tradition, and legacy lives on forever in two parts of the world. The south of the United States and Japan. Because it just seems like the NWA could do no wrong, and it meant so much to those people. It meant so much to the wrestlers. It meant so much to the industry. It meant so much to that art that I could see New Japan bringing in Harley Race. You know, there is a reason why the Triple Crown title is made up of 2 NWA championships in All Japan Pro Wrestling. There's a reason why Giant Baba paid a lot of money to get Harley Race to defend that title in All Japan Pro Wrestling. And again, New Japan Pro Wrestling in the past with Tatsui Fujinami, Masahiro Chono, the Great Muda, and then Shinya Hashimoto when he started up 0-1, definitely wanted a piece of the NWA. And even when Tim Storm went to Japan, I mean, the NWA was a shell of what it used to be. They were no longer appearing on New Japan Pro Wrestling. When Tim Storm went to Japan, and he wrestled against a sumo wrestler for what basically amounted to an indie wrestling promotion in Japan. I mean, it's not cheap to fly somebody to Japan, let alone pay the asking and all that, and all the hospitality that comes with it. It was a big deal because the NWA meant so much to the area, meant so much to the territory. You know, even going back years before then, you know, IWA in Japan or the Wrestle Yume Factory, where they would bring back the NWA Tag Team titles or the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship, right? The NWA had meaning, had value. I always hate when people say, well, the NWA died in 1994 when Shane Douglas threw the belt down. No. If the NWA had no meaning, why was it part of the Octuplet Championship? Why wasn't it a Super 7 title instead of a Super 8? You can't sell me that the NWA doesn't have value. The NWA has always had value. And people, and I use this term, it sounds mean, but I mean it 100% in a positive way. People find a way to exploit the value of the NWA year after year after year. They've been doing it since 1948. TNA brought the NWA in because they knew that it was instant legitimacy. Vince McMahon in 1998 brought the NWA in because it was legitimate. You know, ECW was partnering with the NWA because there was some legitimacy there. Shane Douglas getting that title was a legitimate means of establishing Shane Douglas as a much bigger deal than he was. Throwing it down, of course, the controversy created so much attention for ECW. But if he never threw that belt down, you know, would we even be talking about ECW today? No, it had to come at the expense of the NWA. So, again, I know I'm partial because I'm a huge NWA fan. You guys know this, but for anyone who disparages the NWA name, it's like, well, then why does it keep coming back around again? Why did Bruce Tharp sue to get control of it? Why did Billy Corgan buy it? Why did New Japan want it? Why did TNA want it? Why did Vince McMahon want it? Why did, you know, there's just too many of these compulsory actions to make me believe that the NWA is anything but valuable. I mean, there was a guy in the UK, Billy Wood, friend of the show. He wanted to buy the NWA. He wanted to bring the NWA to the UK. I mean, I don't buy into people saying there's no value to the NWA. Willie Bowen says, Drake Dawson and Curtis Thompson were former NWA World Tag Team Champions. Okay, Willie, I'm not disputing that. Again, I'm not super familiar with those guys, but it's good to know. So, guys, we wow, 56 minutes. It's already time to end the show. I can't believe how quickly this thing wraps itself up. As promised, I did say that we were going to play a little bit of that Bryan Daniel challenge on the way out just for our guy, and I'm going to do it right now.
Ah, cameraman. I'm glad you're here. I have a message for the NWA and all the NWA fans. You know, I've beaten the best wrestlers in the world. I've beaten Samoa Joe. I've beaten Jushin Liger. I've beaten Minoru Tanaka. I've beaten everybody, everywhere. I'm the best. And now, I'm coming after the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Now get out of my way.
So sorry for the lag and everything else, guys. I promise you, stick with this podcast. We're going to get better. We're going to upgrade some equipment real soon. It's a shame that my computer is as terrible as it is, but I promise you we are working to upgrade our tech so that this show can be a lot more interactive and show you some more of the history of the National Wrestling Alliance. Of course, my friends, my brothers, the bearded trio of This Is the NWA podcast will be streaming in about, well, I guess like in about 2 hours? An hour and a half? 8:30 Eastern. You figure it out. I'm all jacked up on Bang Energy Drink. I can't think straight anymore. Make sure you follow their podcast. Make sure you go to NWA Unfiltered on Facebook and give that a thumbs up. If you like this video, even though it was pretty poor, make sure you give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. That really helps out with engagement, the analytics, and the algorithms. It really benefits us. I greatly appreciate it. My name is J Cal. This is a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your #1 source for news and information from the National Wrestling Alliance. You can follow us on all social medias at TheAllianceBlog, and that's, let me run them down. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch TV, TikTok, Tumblr, and of course here on YouTube. As always, guys, I greatly appreciate you guys checking us out. We're here every Tuesday at 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific. And then if you guys are on Instagram, make sure you check out Hey It's Will Daily and myself as we talk about the NWA on Instagram Live. And that's tag team. That's Friday's hot tag. Sorry, Will. And, we talk a lot about the NWA, and you guys could join us there, too, as we interact with you, keeping that hashtag NWA fam alive until something happens, until the NWA returns. We'll keep producing the NWA content you so richly deserve. Until next time, I'll see you guys at the matches, brothers. Now, how do I end this thing?